Hi, my name is Igor Kafetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
Can email marketing get you both your dream girl and your dream income? Sometimes it can. My next guest is Ben Martin. Ben has been traveling across the Caribbean for the last 4 years, funding his lifestyle entirely through email. In fact, Ben admits that he's making 90% of his income simply emailing his list about things that happen to him on a daily basis. Now, Ben's life wasn't always this way. He started out as a struggling YouTube marketer, and just at the point when he was getting some traction, YouTube shut him down. He lost his entire business and his entire income, and he had to find any way to make money. At the time, he heard someone tell him that the money is in the list, so he attempted to build one, but nothing was happening, until the point when he figured out how to make his emails pay. In other words, Ben is now relying 100% on email marketing to pay his bills and fund his travel and fund his amazing lifestyle living in the Caribbean. In this episode, I grill Ben about his technique and get him to reveal his entire business model so you too can discover how to take everything and anything that happens to you in your boring, mundane, day-to-day life and turn those events into money-making emails. So join me and Ben Martin as we reveal to you how to make as much money as you need to fund your lifestyle with simple and straightforward emails. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kafetz. And this episode is all about mailing for money with my good friend, Ben Martin. Ben, how you doing, my friend?
Doing really good, Igor. How about you?
Not bad. Just trying to get back into my routine after the seminar when you and I shared the stage, and I think I bumped you off, didn't I? I think I went for so long that they bumped you to the next day.
Yeah, you went for so long that they moved me back by 3 days.
But that was all me, man. I gotta send you a gift to cover for that. I'm gonna get something real nice for your doggies. All right, well. Today is all about mailing for money. As you know, it's the list building lifestyle here, and our show, the primary audience is the list builders. So I know you're a master at taking the stories or basically the life situations that happen to you and turning them into stories, which is, I think, one of the most exciting skills anyone can ever have, because the storyteller is one of the most highest paid professions right now, and it's probably going to be that way for the next, good 50 to 100 years. That, and of course, investing in Bitcoin, but we'll keep that for another episode. So, what I would like to start with is for you to share how did you become an email marketer? Because I know you weren't always making money with email.
Yeah, correct. I really didn't become an email marketer by choice, to be honest with you, Igor. There was really two reasons I ended up becoming an email marketer. I'm going to tell you what those 2 reasons are, and then I'm kind of going to elaborate on it. But reason number 1 I became an email marketer, if I'm very honest and to the point, is because basically my life sucked. That was reason number 1. And reason number 2 is, after I kind of got past my life sucking and some things I'm going to share with you in a minute, I finally found a way to make money with YouTube, only to have YouTube turn around and shut down my main channel. I had 320 something videos on a channel that were all generating me free traffic and making me money.
Ouch.
Yeah, and YouTube just shut my channel down. But yeah, originally, before I found YouTube and email marketing, basically, I was living with a friend. I was going through a really tough financial stage in my life. I was going through some emotional stuff, and I was kind of carrying a lot of baggage. And, I'd got to a point in my life where I just felt like all my hopes and dreams and everything I'd planned for my life were dead. I couldn't see a way forward. And at the time, I was living in the back bedroom of this friend's house. And I mean, if anybody's ever seen some of the pictures I put of this room, the walls in the room were snot green. I had no closets.
Snot
it was
green.
dark. Yeah, snot green walls. It was like decoration from like the 1970s. This room was horrible. And outside my bedroom window, so my bed was right by a window that overlooked this concrete apartment block where basically heroin addicts used to collect drugs from their suppliers. That was what I used to look out at every single day. And, you know, I used to be in that room thinking, you know, how the hell am I going to get out of this situation, and how did I end up in this situation in the first place? And I was just basically going through a pity party in life, feeling sorry for myself, feeling angry, blaming everybody else, and just not in a good place at all. And eventually, I was searching for these different ways to make money on the internet, and I stumbled across a girl who was already doing internet marketing, and that girl reached out to me via Facebook. She messaged me and she said, "Hey, looks like you're trying to build a business online. And basically, in a nutshell, I feel like I can help you out with this." And at the time, she was making about 10 grand a month. So I was like, okay, I'm really struggling. You know, we started to chat. And I remember saying to this girl within about 15 minutes of chatting to her, I said, one day when I come to America, we're going to hang out together. Now, the crazy part about that story is we became boyfriend and girlfriend, and for the last 4 years, we've been traveling around the Caribbean having a blast. So my prediction was pretty accurate.
Wow.
So.
Oh, all right. Well, can you tell me if should I buy or sell my Bitcoin then? I mean, I mean, no, but this is crazy. So you're saying that the girl who helped you get back up on your feet actually became your girlfriend, and you're now living together and making money together and enjoying and traveling the Caribbean. And I forgot to mention that you actually do live in the Caribbean. You literally live in paradise.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, but it's true. Yeah, what happened is basically at that time I got to a stage where I was so hungry to get out of the situation that she started off as my mentor, and she used to, you know, when she told me to do something, I would do it like I would do 10 times more than what she asked me to do. And basically, within about 90 days of meeting her, I went from completely broke to having my first $10,000 month on the internet. And primarily, a lot of that was done through traffic I was generating from YouTube. So, yeah, that's where I started, really, YouTube. And YouTube was really good to me for quite some time. And then, stupidly enough, at the time, I was not growing a list. I didn't understand the value of it. I kept hearing people say, grow a list because the money is in the list, but nobody really took the time to say, this is why. And then one day I woke up and I got this notification from YouTube that your channel is being shut down. You can't appeal this decision. And I tried writing to them, and they really never gave me any reason at all as to why it was shut down. I never got an answer, no answer. So
yeah, you never do with these guys.
Yeah, I just couldn't understand it because as far as I was aware, I didn't break any rules, at least not purposely. And it was at that stage I really thought, I've got to dive more into this thing that people keep telling me about, building an email list, and, you know, the money is in the list. And it was at that moment when my YouTube income was gone that I turned to methods like originally solo ads for getting leads on my lists. But the problem then, what I found is I was now getting these leads on my lists, but when I was emailing them, I just thought it was a case of I'm just going to send an email now and I'm going to make millions of dollars because that's what they told me. And what I was finding is every time I emailed them, nothing was happening. I wasn't barely getting any opens, barely getting any clicks. Now and again I was making a sale here and there, but there was just not a great deal of activity going on. So it was really a big mystery to me at that time. It was like, like when like if you dangle a carrot in front of a donkey and you can see the carrot in front of your face, but you can never quite get the carrot. That's kind of how I felt with emailing.
I've been the donkey. I've been the donkey more times in my life than I care to admit, but I know exactly what that feels.
Yeah, so that's how I was feeling at that time. And then what actually happened was, in kind of time periods kind of get muddled because so many things have gone on this journey. But at some period in time, I remember making a post on Facebook and basically saying, does anybody know someone who's really good at copy and can help me? And that's actually the first time I got connected with you, Igor. Somebody tagged you in my Facebook posts. And then obviously I went on to do some mentorship with you, which, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think it went according to plan for either of us, but I would have to put that down as one of the points in my life which opened my eyes to what I really needed to do and say in an email to make people buy. That was probably the main thing I learned from you, how to actually use words in an email or on a sales page or anywhere you can write copy to actually persuade people to listen to you and buy. And it was actually very powerful turning points on my journey, which set me off in a really completely new direction, which I've continued to go down even up until today.
Yeah, what is happening here, what I'm seeing here is that you went from a YouTuber, which is basically doesn't even count as a business, at this point for me, because there's so many kids out there who do it and they brag about having 1 million subscribers and all that, but when it really comes down to it, they don't make any money. And then so you went from successful YouTuber who was making money to losing the account, to rediscovering a different business model, to then learning how to, and this is, I really cannot put it in a more exciting and sexier way. You learned how to put words on paper or digital paper that would result in people giving you money.
Yeah, that is basically, if you could sum up email, that's exactly how you would sum up. I came up with a method where I was basically getting paid to share. At that time, it was primarily all the pain I'd been through in life. I was, and the way I explain this to people is, a lot of people say to me, Ben, why do you email? And of course I email for the money, but actually emailing for me, even to this day, is almost kind of like a free therapy session.
Yes.
Really, that's how I email. Yeah. So I'm sure you can kind of relate to that, Igor.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Email, I noticed it was about 2 years ago. I noticed that I didn't write emails for like 5 days to my list, although I had a bunch of them going out automatically because at this point, I have so many emails I can repurpose that it's ridiculous. But I noticed that the mere act of writing has become a therapy for me. So I have developed habits where I now write every day, regardless of whether or not I create content, regardless of whether or not I write emails. For example, there's a great exercise that a friend of mine shared with me, just writing about what great happened today and what would you like to happen tomorrow, for example. And it's just, you sit down and you write these 300 to 500 words about what happened today, what you would love to have, to happen tomorrow. And just the mere act of you putting your thoughts on paper or going through that exercise of extracting the thoughts you need to put on paper in a certain sequence, that just makes me feel so much better about myself. It just releases tension, right? It's just crazy. And of course, for guys like you and me, if we also get to make money in the process, then it's just the best damn job I've ever had.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and I kind of almost struggle for words to describe it. But yeah, for me, that's exactly what it is. I realize that, hang on a minute, I can take anything from my life, the pain, the good times, the bad times, the in-betweens, I can, and rather than kind of going to like a counselor, I can kind of open up an email, write an email, and I realize that if I'm going through this stuff in life, good things and bad things, there are obviously other people who are going through a similar journey too. And what I found is with the emails, the more open and transparent about what I was going through and where I was on the journey I was, the more sales I began to make, and the more frequently I started to send these kind of emails, the more money that came in. And eventually I got this whole process down to basically, I call it my 10-minute money method. What I actually do now is I send out an average of 3 emails a day, and each email takes me 10 minutes or less to write. And that process generates me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per month. So literally something that is a 10-minute act makes, 90+% of the income I make.
Yeah, it's the famous 80-20 rule. And, what you just described reminds me of that story about John Lennon and Paul McCartney when they wrote a swimming pool, when they wanted to buy a new swimming pool. And I think John Lennon said just, okay, let's write a new song. So they wrote a song and they bought themselves a pool. And when it comes to email marketing and affiliate marketing, you're now what we categorize as super affiliate. That is truly the way it's done. I mean, right now you have a list, you have an audience, you have a skill set, and you can email your way to pretty much anything you want. For example, and of course, I'm sure you've got something out of your own life where you can support this, but for me, I literally just now have purchased a 6-year-old Mercedes S-Class. It got like the 5.5 liter engine, the massage seats and everything. Yeah, and it just feels like one of the best buying decisions I've ever made, depending, right? We'll see what's going to happen to it in the next 2 years. But it was really good value for money, but it's an extra $30,000 that I needed to come up with. And guess what? I emailed my way to it.
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't have to tap into my savings. I didn't have to, take on a loan. I didn't have to get financing. I just mailed my way to the $30,000 in my bank account. And, again, I'm sure you have similar stories where you did the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when people ask me, well, how have you been traveling for 4 years? And I basically say I emailed. Like I've used email to fund my traveling lifestyle. In the since between 2014 and 2018, I've lived in 3 or 4 different countries, and all of that was funded via email. So basically, every time I decide I want to hop over to another country, it's like I email my way to moving countries.
Yeah, moving is expensive. I mean, as someone who just moved countries, I can testify that moving is freaking expensive. So it's really not that you need an extra couple of $100. I mean, when you move, you need literally, a good $15,000 to $25,000 to get some new furniture, to get the house, to put a down payment for 6 months to the new landlord because you have no history. Like, there's a bunch of things that cost a lot of money. And, obviously my hat is off to you for emailing your way to living anywhere anywhere you choose.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and the crazy thing is, when I first got started with this, and I never set out to be an emailer, as I said. In fact, what I set out to do was I just wanted enough money to pay my bills, basically get my self-respect back, and just be in a position where, I'm not somebody who likes to smoke. I don't drink a lot. I don't gamble. I don't do anything like that. But one thing I really do enjoy is I like to eat out at nice restaurants. And one thing that used to kill me when I was struggling for money is when I remember used to walk through the town where I lived sometimes, and I would look in the windows at lunchtime at these people eating these nice steaks and think, man, I wish I could afford a steak dinner right now. So, emailing allows me just to basically do all the cool things in life that a few years ago just were not affordable for me. Email makes them affordable. And the crazy thing is, normally by the time I go and do these things, I've made 2 or 3 times the money via email. You know, if I'm out eating a dinner for $100, by the time I come home, I've probably made 2 or 3 times that just by having an email queued up to go out while I'm out. So
Wow. So basically, email makes your world go round.
yeah, totally. For me, email isn't really something I do. Email is really something I am. You know, I can't separate Ben the emailer from Ben the normal guy. You know, email is my life. It's not something I'm interested in. It's something I'm addicted to, obsessed with, and it's just a way of life for me now.
Well, if there's anything to be addicted with, it's going to be email. So let's go ahead and dive into the process, because what I really love for the list builders to discover is exactly the process you go through in order to take a mundane situation and turn it into a profitable email.
Yeah, that's okay. So let me give you an example. I'll start with some advice a friend once gave to me. This friend actually, he's in his mid-30s. He's already retired. I'm not going to say his name because he's a kind of a he's a guy who doesn't really like exposure. He's one of these guys who basically lives in the mountains of Montana, away from the rest of the world type of figure. And he once said to me about email, Ben, if you want to get really good at email, first thing you've got to do is slow down and begin to notice what's going on in the world around you. And he's told me to make sure wherever I went, I had a pen and paper or some kind of way of recording things, because everything that was happening practically every second of the day was a potential email that could make money. And you know, I really took what he said to heart, and I really began to, you know, most people I find are so unaware. For example, while I'm on this call, not only am I able to speak to you, Igor, and give value to your listeners, but I'm also noticing in the room, the windows are open, I can hear the birds chirping outside, the curtains are blowing, I'm noticing the lights on the internet box are flashing, and I'm hearing all these different noises and noticing all these things that are going on around me. And any one of those things potentially, you know, be something you could spin into an email. So I'll give a concrete example, and this was really an easy one. I remember one time I was in the Bahamas. I was living over in the Bahamas in 2014, in fact, between 2014 and 16. And I remember one morning going to the bathroom, and I literally was just opening the bathroom door and, you know, undoing my zipper, getting ready to go for a pee. And I found a snake in the toilet.
Oh, man.
And
yeah, you told me that. This is the craziest story ever.
So I found this snake in the toilet, and I was like, you know, I had that moment of kind of like, you know, what do? I really need to go to the bathroom right now, but there's a snake in the toilet. And, you know, being the brave guy that I am, what I did is I actually walked out of the bathroom backwards, shut the door, and just waited for the snake to disappear. You know, I just waited.
That's how I used to deal with my money problems. They never went away.
Yeah, the money problems just never seem to go away, right? But I was like, well, hopefully this snake will just crawl back down through the toilet pipe. And fortunately, I think it did. I never saw it again. But straight away, that was like the best email idea ever. I mean, a snake in the toilet. Now, I don't know if you'll remember this, Igor, but do you remember the film Snakes on a Plane?
Oh, yeah, I remember. I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst movies ever, but I remember it.
Me too. I hated the movie. I thought it was terrible, but I knew a lot of people would know that film. So what I did is with my email, I did a spin-off of that film. Instead of Snakes in a Plane, it was Snakes in a Toilet. And I basically wrote this email to my list where I said, you know, hey, and, you know, I'm going to give a few tips here. I like to get a little bit playful. So sometimes I'll open up my email, and instead of like saying, hey, Igor, I'll say something like, hey, Chico, you know, just something really kind of playful, you know. And I just started writing this email about this morning now, as I was going to the bathroom to take a pee, I was taken by complete shock and surprise, and you know, here's why. As I opened the bathroom door and began to undo my zipper, I suddenly saw this python staring back at me. And I went into this story of basically what happened. And then I always remember you saying to me, actually, Igor, about, learning how to bring in super smooth transitions.
Yeah, segue,
yeah. How the hell do you segue from that to selling a product? And this is what I did. I basically, this is a line that I use regularly in my emails. This is a great way of segue. And I just basically said, this weird event in the bathroom kind of reminds me of a lot of the snake oil salesmen in internet marketing. And then I basically started to talk about how there's a lot of people in internet marketing who are slithering around like snakes and taking people by surprise. And my call to action was basically like, if you want to avoid getting bit in the ass by a viper, then you're going to need this like software that gets you traffic in 3 minutes.
Beautiful, smooth transition.
Yeah, so I'm hoping from that example that the people who are listening to this can see, it doesn't have to be something as crazy as a snake in your toilet. You could be, for example, driving through the McDonald's drive-thru, and on the parking lot, you could notice a piece of garbage floating around the parking lot, and you could turn that into, this is kind of like a lot of the garbage you see in internet marketing. It could be the smallest thing that you just turn into a playful story, and then you just transition into whatever you're selling.
What I notice is you become most effective at turning whatever happens in your life into emails, is when you start looking at life from a philosophic perspective. In other words, just like with the garbage example as you just gave, right? Or the whole "Dust in the Wind," I think the old Scorpions song. Or maybe, think about it this way. I was actually giving this exercise because at a point I was a part of this cult, right? It was really a weird time in my life, but I was. And so they sent us outside and they told us, go and find meaning to everything. Basically, go observe things and give it meaning, because you can give meaning to anything in any way. And that's how the human brain is, where we see a thing and we give it some meaning that relates to us. And so I was walking around and I saw the squirrel, and the squirrel was kind of under the tree, right in the grass, and it was trying to make its way through the. Oh, it wasn't a squirrel. I'm sorry. It was like a little bird that was jumping. It wasn't walking, it was jumping. And so it was jumping in the grass, and the grass was taller than the bird. And, I was looking how the bird is afraid to jump towards the road, and how, because the grass is so tall, it basically keeps the bird within certain, a certain framework, certain area, and the bird cannot see, for some reason, cannot kind of overcome that fear of jumping onto the road, where it can see more and kind of move around easily. And so I was like, man, I'm exactly like that bird. I'm stuck in my own little world. I'm stuck in my comfort zone, and I see all these huge walls, which in reality aren't even walls at all. And I still allow these walls to limit me, and so bam, I just gave meaning to this mundane, absolutely meaningless thing. But that is how you turn everything into an email.
Yeah, that's a awesome example. And at the end of that email, I probably would have been like, but I've, maybe some kind of self-help product, but I found this thing that basically helps me smash through my barriers. That's worked wonders for me. You might like it too. Check it out here. So it's kind of like you're just giving a very casual recommendation to a friend. Like I was saying to some of my students the other day, the less salesy and pitchy you can be, the better. And the more you can sound like if you were at a bar, if me and Igor were at a bar and you said to me, Igor, Ben, I got some bad news. I've found out I've got cancer. That would be horrible news, right? But if you told me what type of cancer it was, and then I knew of several people who'd been treated by a certain doctor for that cancer and recovered, I wouldn't be really pitchy and super hypey with you. I'd be like, Igor, listen, I got to tell you, you know what I mean? I'd be very casual and just be wanting to help you as a friend. And if you can really get across that in your email, that you're not being super hypey and trying to pitch them, but you're just casually trying to help them as a friend, you're going to make a lot of sales. And what I find is with stories, why I love everyday stories so much is, if you think about a story, information has been passed on through thousands of years by story, by word of mouth, by, like, how do you think we know now that we can eat an egg from a chicken? Because somebody discovered that one time and they passed down the story. And what I find is with stories tend to bypass people's guard against being pitched and almost allow you to pitch somebody without them feeling like you were pitching them.
Yeah, stories are amazing. We've been talking about stories in the podcast forever, and we even released a program about how to use story selling in affiliate marketing to promote other people's programs. You can check it out at bridge.igorsolitz.com. But stories are also amazing because it's the only thing people remember. The reason that it's the stories that make it through the ages is because they're the easiest to remember and then to tell again. And something about it, man. I mean, like, I remember Commission Expo when I spoke. The next day, people kind of approached me about what I said. The only thing I remember was the story. Like, when I asked them the 5 things I shared about building a super affiliate campaign, guess what? Nobody remembered anything. But everyone remembered my story of growing up in Ukraine, then moving to Israel, then my dad going through a heart attack, and then me needing to figure out a way to help my parents and all that. So everybody remembered that, but no one remembered the content. So what this tells you is that stories are a form of entertainment through which you can deliver valuable information and move people into action. And I really agree with you on this one point where, look, if you have something that helps people, it is your obligation to sell it to them. It is your obligation to at least let them know about it, really, because you can't really force them to buy it unless they really want to. And yes, if you do have cure for cancer or you know where to get it, and your friend, neighbor, relative, or anyone you know has that sort of form of cancer, guess what? You are doing them a huge favor by telling them about it.
Yeah, exactly. You are doing them a favor, and this is sometimes where I see people go wrong with emails. Even when I receive emails, it's like, if you're going to like agitate and bring up somebody's pain, then make sure you provide them a cure. And a lot of the time I see people who, they kind of agitate my pain in an email, but then I'm like, well, now I'm actually like feeling as I read this, I'm ready to go buy something, but you didn't give me a link to click. You didn't send me anywhere. You just kind of left me hanging. And you never really want to do that with your subscribers. Once you've agitated the pain, you want to say, hey, here's a cure. And Igor hit on a big word there, which is entertainment. And that's really all marketing and emails come down to, is people are bored. They open up an email because they're looking for a distraction from their life. And the person who can fill that moment with the most entertaining thing is going to win their attention. And as somebody really smart once said to me, the first step in making money is getting people's attention. If you can't get people's attention and keep it, then they're sure as hell not going to give you their money. So that's what everything I do is based on. My stories are based on entertaining little things that have happened in my day that I just share with other people. And that is my entire business model right there.
Man, well, first off, thank you for sharing that model with us. And I'm really happy you did, because it just reinforces everything we've been trying to share with you, list builders, that you can email your way to a new life. And Ben, now, we can't keep on going. I know this is your entire business model, but obviously I know you can go way, 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 way deeper into explaining to people how to create those money-making emails out of mundane stories. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask you for one more example of a boring thing that happened to you that can be turned into an email, or if you're open to the idea and to do a high wire act, allow me to give you an example of something that happened to me and see if you can spit it into an email.
Oh, you're giving me let's go for the difficult option.
Oh, yes.
Let's go on.
Putting Ben on the spot. That's what I'm good at.
Oh,
all right, Ben. So check this out. check this out. A couple of days ago here in Canada, there were crazy strong winds. I'm talking about like, I think 40 miles a second or something. Like it was crazy, crazy strong. And when that happens, all kinds of things happen to your house. I know people whose roofs got turned off. But for us, we just moved into a new home. And one of the windows, actually the window in my daughter's room, got pulled out completely with the frame and fell straight on the ground and crashed and smashed. Right where my wife was standing about 15 seconds prior, because she was just entering. When she entered the home, she closed the door behind her and she heard a bam. So the window crashed. So there was like a good 10 to 15 seconds that there were in between me being married to a really healthy, beautiful wife, and me being married to a maybe beautiful but less healthy, or maybe even, not. So anyway, you get the point. So that happened. Please help me spin that into an email.
Okay, what I would probably do with that, and this is just obviously very quick off the top of my head. Obviously, the story is about how there was like kind of an unexpected storm, and it caused some damage to your house and basically nearly killed somebody that you treasure and love dearly. So what I would do is I would literally tell the story in the way you told it, and then I would relate it back to something that personally happened to me, and I would say, what happened with my wife or girlfriend kind of reminds me about a tragic event that happened to me back in 2013 over on YouTube. What happened is I built this really big channel and everything seemed awesome. I was beginning to make money. But then suddenly, just like that unexpected storm that blew out the window from my house, YouTube pulled the rug right from under me and removed my entire channel. Do you see what I'm saying, Igor?
Yeah, absolutely. This is brilliant.
And then in that email, what I would do is because now I'm kind of in the email, I could go one of two ways. I could go one direction and say, if you're interested in YouTube and you want to make money on there, then here's how to do that without making the same mistakes that I did back then. Or I could almost steer people away from YouTube and say, so basically what I did then was I found out how to build something far superior, something that I own, something that is storm-proof and can never be taken away from me. I call it my 10-minute email method. And if you want to avoid YouTube shutting you down, then you've got to build your own list by doing this. Check it out here.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. So let me try and reverse engineer the formula for the list builders. So what happened first, you hear me give you this story and you take on the macro approach. Rather than being micro in the story, you take a step back, you observe it from the top, and you say, okay, so here's what happened. An unexpected weather condition causes damage to your house, causes for the house to fall apart in a way where it almost kills your wife. So this is very unexpected, and it could have ended in a very tragic way. Then you link it to another event in your life that had the same sort of tragic emotional charge to it, and then you link that to a solution that helps your list or your clients prevent that from happening to them.
Yeah, exactly. So the moment you talked about an unexpected weather event blowing out the window from your house and could have potentially harmed or killed your wife, in my brain, I'm thinking at some point I've got to transition that story to kind of something that could happen in business. So in my brain's already going, how do I link Igor's wife nearly dying to something that people are going to experience in business that I experience, that I can help them avoid if they buy this product? So, thing is now, because I've been doing it for so long, my brain has got very quick at joining those dots. And the more you do this, the faster you get at it, which is why probably after 30, 60, 90 days of doing this is why you can knock out these emails in 10 minutes or less, because your brain just gets used to looking for the deeper meaning behind the story.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. Now, Ben, we're officially out of time. But before we end this episode, I'd like to share something with the list builders. Guys, if you would like to learn from Ben more, right, about how to mail for money, more about how Ben goes around, lives in the Caribbean, travels from one island to another, and funds all that purely based on his emails, I highly recommend you check out his program that's called Mailing for Money. You need to go to igorsolowitz.com/mailing for money. Okay, and grab this program. It's $197, and as soon as you land on that page, you'll have 48 hours to take action. I highly recommend you grab it because Ben is one of the best email super affiliates I know. He's definitely someone who who's been in across several industries. He used to be in MLM as well. He used to be in YouTube, so he got a taste of a bunch of different business models, and that's the business model he chose. That's the business model that's currently funds his lifestyle. And Ben is a master. He's a master at taking either a very boring story or a very exciting one and turning that into a money-making email, which you can not only use once, but you can repurpose it again and again, because everything we've talked to you today about is evergreen. I mean, I can easily tell the snake story today and then repurpose it 60 days later with anyone who joins my list in between that time. So trust me when I say that email marketing is an asset and it can make you money for a long, long time. So guys, once again, if you want to learn more from Ben and how he does that, how he emails his list and makes a lot of money doing it in a very simple and straightforward way, you definitely want to go to igorsolowitz.com/mailing for money. Ben, thank you very much for sitting down with me and sharing all these insights and giving us your business model.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me on. And anytime I get a chance to talk about email, I'd love to talk about it all day long.
Email makes the world go round. So, thank you very much for tuning in for another episode of The List Building Lifestyle. And until next time we chat, have a good one.
Thank you for listening to The List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kafetz, and until next time we talk, have a good one.